Then Memucan replied in the presence of the king and the nobles, quote, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king, but also against all the nobles and the peoples of all the provinces of King Xerxes. For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, and so they will despise their husbands and say, quote, King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she would not come. So they're getting real like Yas Queen with it.
This is like the precursor to forming Gilead in The Handmaid's Tale.
This very day, the Persian and Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. There will be
We
no
don't cut off our
end
wives'
of
fingers.
disrespect and discord.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Growing Up Christian. I'm Sam.
I'm Casey.
And I'm April. Back again.
Everyone's
excited about that.
Yeah, before we get started, there's something that we wanted to promote. It's pretty new, but there's a GoFundMe now for Kanye to become a billionaire again.
Oh,
really?
It was set up. Yeah, it was set up by some fans. I should have run this by you first, but yeah, it's set up by some fans. And it's just, look, what's happening to him is really just doesn't seem fair, right? And he needs $1 billion back. So I think he got knocked down to like about 400 million. So if everyone wants to rally together, and donate a few bucks, I think we can get him back up to $1 billion. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think?
That is so sad. I am crying so hard right now.
Yeah, we got to get him back in a position where he can make shoes that look like they were made by kindergartners out of clay.
Those shoes look ridiculous. They look like a shitty Elon Musk style spacecraft. Like that's something that he would send into space.
It's like what people in the 80s would have imagined moon boots to look like.
Yeah. It's like when you would watch, bad takes on what the future would be like in 30 years and then everyone has flying cars and
the year 2000, we're going to have disgusting marshmallow sneakers.
It's probably a movie trailer that had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I think, so we've been watching that show Andor, the Star Wars show on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I watched Mandalorian and then one episode of Boba, and that's where I'm at. So I got a lot to catch up on.
It's pretty good. It took a minute. Like it took like 5 or 6 episodes for us to be like, okay, I'm interested now. But
that's too many episodes to.
Well, you could probably, if you get the synopsis, you could probably skip a couple of the middle ones.
That's very offensive to the person who made it.
That sucks for them.
Well, it's 12 episodes. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
But it's funny when you're watching, especially like Disney stuff, because you're at a point now where like you can recognize future merchandising opportunities. You're like, oh, I see why they put this in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they focus on.
There's this part right now that we're on where it's shot in like this space prison that's kind of like a penal labor camp, and the ground is like electrified, so the guards wear these like special boots that like ground them out so they don't get shocked or whatever. And they immediately, like when they pan to the guards, they show these boots, and I just looked at everyone, I'm like, they're gonna sell those boots. They're for sure gonna sell those boots. We're gonna see people walking around in space prison moon boots.
I think it reminds me of a long time ago. I saw an Avril Lavigne music video, and I'm just like, why are they focusing on this Sony camera for like 5 seconds of this video? And I guess they like sponsored her entire video or something.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
now with 4 megapixels.
Yeah.
That's like you would see it's like with Netflix movies and shit where they're like I guess you would see that in a lot of movies, but like Netflix, because they were like didn't do ads and stuff like that. people would just pay to have their product placed in
Yeah.
like Netflix original movies and stuff like that. And there were times where it was like super obvious. I feel like in Stranger Things it was obvious sometimes, but I can't tell if they were just trying to like make it 70s, like,
Mm.
or if they were
Like-
really going for like pushing product, like Coke or something like that.
Probably
Yeah. Well,
both.
even on shows like Meat Eater, like they'll be like pan across like the Yeti logo or something. And I'm like, okay, so Yeti
Yeah.
sponsored this.
Sirius
I
Black
Yeti
got
only
free
coolers.
drives
$400
Volvos.
coolers. Oh man.
Have you looked at the price point on Yeti coolers like
I
anytime
have, and it
recently?
makes me
It's
cry.
disgusting. I'm like,
I
I
don't
saw
get it.
one that was like you could fit like maybe 12 cans in there. Maybe. It was like $300. I'm like, who the fuck needs to keep something that cold and it's worth that much to them?
Dude, like
Well,
we
like in
do
the
like
store brand.
contests, and like if you put a Yeti thing in the contest, like in the prize pool of a contest, like we do for customers, like that's what people pick. They always pick the Yeti thing. And like one of them the other day, like the bottom tier prize, I did a Yeti lunchbox, and it's just like a floppy sided lunchbox that says Yeti on the front. I mean, literally, like any JanSport probably makes one for 40, for I don't know, $8 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's $80 for a lunchbox.
Wow.
It's because there's a bunch of competitors now, and like I don't know. I guess look, if you look at their like bigger coolers that are like $500 or something even more outrageous, it's like maybe it is the best, but I don't think refrigeration will ever be worth that much to me. Like that's how much it
Oh.
costs to buy a fucking refrigerator.
You don't need a personality that bad, though. Yeti is a personality.
It is.
Yeah, if you don't have a sticker on the back of your Jeep, then you're just nobody.
Yeah,
Yeti
that's true.
is white people FUBU.
Yeah. It is.
Oh.
April, when you said what's her name? Avril.
Yeah.
It immediately made me remember we should have mentioned it when Jeremiah was last on, since he was adjacent to the what's the
When we were
was it When
young.
We Were Young? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I recognized most of the bands there, and there were a lot of bands that are like emo, pop punk, a lot of like heavier bands, and somehow, beating all odds, Avril Lavigne found herself a spot right in between Taking Back Sunday and Bring Me the Horizon. And I thought that was
Oh.
so funny.
That's very interesting.
She's a rocker.
Yeah.
She's a rock. I really enjoyed Avril back in the day though. Like she was like, because it was kind of like I wanted to be edgy really badly, but like I had to work around like rules and dress codes and everything. So I was like as edgy as I could be. So I kind of found a parallel in Avril. She's like, I'm in pop, but like I have a little tiny bit of I have a tie on.
Yeah. Tie
And
on like a clip-on tie onto like oh no, it wasn't clip-on. It was, but she would wear like a t-shirt and then like
it was
wear the
like
tie.
a white tank top, a tie, and like those Dickies knee-length shorts.
That's right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
forgot
I
about
wanted
those.
those shorts so bad when I was younger.
With like a pair of etnies or whatever they were called, those wide ass sneakers.
Oh yeah, I never had those. I had Vans. I had like the white Vans, and then I had the Chuck Taylors, which I
Yeah.
still own. Not the same ones, but
Dickie stuff was for drywallers and angsty Christian kids.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all
That's
right,
the
hang on.
note.
Close your eyes.
Okay,
and
here we
think
go.
back. Go into the time machine and think back on like one particular item that you bought that gave you like butterflies in your tum tum because you're like, oh man, this is so cool. Like when you were trying to
Oh
be
my word.
edgy.
Oh, hands down, it was my first studded belt. That
I was
thick
literally
ass.
thinking that too.
Yeah, it's like that ultra wide. It's like a 3-inch. It barely fits through your belt loops.
Oh my word. I think was mine 2 or 3? I don't remember. I think it was 3. Yeah, so I think I got that junior year in high school. Like when I went to public school in 11th grade, that's when I really started to like slip into the edginess, so to speak. So I got the studded belt. Did anyone that you know have the buckle on the side
Oh
so that
yeah.
the whole
Oh,
front
That was the
That's
move.
right. I had a Zayo belt buckle. That's right.
Zayo belt buckle.
Yeah.
Wow, that's probably a collector's
Wow.
item now.
I know. I don't know where it is. I
It's
wish I
not
still
worth
had
money
it.
because of who
It
would
would
want
be
it, but
Right.
it'd be on the wall behind me if I could find that at my parents' house. That was cool. And I
Yeah.
would wear that. So I didn't wear my belt to the side. I would wear it like it. I don't even know how to explain it. It was so dumb. And I was like, just felt cool because I didn't see other people doing it, which turns out when you get older, you realize not seeing other people do things doesn't automatically make it cool. But
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
the first belt loop on the side, like on like the left, like the first one you would come by, I would like I would like interlock the belt around it. So like I can't explain this shit. It was just I don't even know how to explain it. I would like need a belt and a visual. I feel like
Did you
the only way I could do this is if I like acted like a flight attendant showing people how to buckle a seatbelt.
did you like wrap it underneath or like wrap it behind it and
It's
then
like
like make a little knot and go
the
down
little
like a
notchy part would like went over the belt. How the fuck did I do
I'm
it? I'm actually gonna have to try and figure out how I put my belt
yeah.
on after
I'm
we get
curious
off of this
because
because I can't actually quite remember how I would even explain that.
I'm picturing Casey in my Siri costume belt with
yeah,
studs.
there we go. That sounds heavy and
Oh,
tedious
I
to
should
bend.
make an emo Siri mashup.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
you
I
should,
remember.
but
Kill me. Okay,
also
no.
kill me.
I finally I finally remembered. So after you put your belt, like after you put the thing through the notch, and then on the belt there's the extra loops to put the excess belt through. It
Yeah,
was
Yes.
in between the buckle and those loops that my belt loop would be. And then the excess of the belt would go over my belt loop. So it was just slightly off to the side. And I wore tight black t-shirts that didn't go below my belt at the time. So it
Oh
was
yeah, you
very
can't do
obvious
that.
that
You
I
have to
was
show the
wearing.
belt.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was before I had moobs. So I was able to successfully wear tight black band shirts. And that was a different time
Oh,
in my life.
here's a fun story. I had a friend who I'm still friends with to this day, and she went to the Used concert, and I didn't even bother asking my parents. And
I
so
know
she
the
brought
answer.
me back a T-shirt from it, and it was like I was very small when I was in high school, and it was like this. Like I still have the shirt, and it's like a little. It looks like a child's shirt kind of, but I would keep it. Well, okay. I had the used shirt, and then I had an Avenged Sevenfold shirt
Nice.
that I had also gotten from friends who went to a concert without me. I don't know how I got them to. I don't know why they did that for me, but I don't know. Um, maybe they felt sorry for me.
Yeah, like this poor kid.
I know.
like
And
at
the
home
Avenged
reading their
Sevenfold.
devotional right now.
Oh, I know. The Avenged
She'll
Sevenfold one had a skull on it, so I didn't want to bring it home because I wouldn't want my mom to see it in the wash because, uh, not to embarrass her, but I had a couple of garments disappear once I put them into the wash.
Garments.
Garments.
That's so funny. The whole like skull thing was like so off-putting to a lot of
I
Christian
know. And I'm
parents.
just like, we're a science family. We like science in this household. What's a skull? Everyone's
Yeah.
got one.
Yeah. This skull has birds flying out of its
Let's
mouth,
say this
but
skull has bat wings. We don't like
oh
that.
yeah, that's not
I had
very
a
sciencey.
I had a Through the Eyes of the Dead shirt that had like a skull in the middle with like it was kind of looked like wings, but the wing pattern was made of knives, and I thought that was a
Oh,
badass shirt. And now I got to a point in my life where I'm like, I'm not gonna wear skulls and knives anymore. But
yeah.
it had its moment. It had its brief moment.
It's true. Well, I hid that skull shirt in my locker, so I would just wear a little tank top to school and then just take the shirt out of my locker and wear it and then
Did you
put it
hand
back in
wash it
before.
so your mom wouldn't
I
find
don't
it
know if
in
I
the
ever
sink?
washed it.
You would shower with it on. You're like, this will get this nice and clean.
I don't know what ever happened to that shirt actually.
Just had a
I save
clothesline going in
everything
the
and
girls' bathroom.
yeah. I have the used shirt. That one had like a human heart and like a horse, like a Roman riding a horse or something on it. So that one was fine. I still own
every
that one.
every one of my shirts ended up being like the armpits got worn out. I guess maybe
Oh,
because I moshed so hard.
maybe. Yeah, I had to like selectively go to concerts. I could only go to concerts that were at like the Quaker church or something.
The Quaker,
And
the
that
Quaker hardcore show.
yeah, moshing was
Yeah.
literally just as Quaker service. You'd all just start shaking violently in the middle of a
Would you
circle.
say you were sowing your wild Quaker oats?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know,
Dang.
quick oats. They were quick oats.
Oh man. Okay, so we are gathered here this evening to do a Bible study,
Can't wait.
right?
I've
Yeah,
never
And
had a bad experience at a Bible study.
yeah, so we
Well,
challenged
thought
each
we'll
other
review.
to bring before the group a passage that really touched our hearts. And I believe Sam, you have one, and then I have one, which April also helped me research this one, so we kind of have it together.
Yeah, I had some divine inspiration. I'll take all the credit for that. I mean, God takes all the credit for that.
It was her idea. She did
To
come
him
up
be the
with
glory.
the topic idea.
All glory be to God. Any good idea I have is God, and any bad idea I have is mine, is my awful sin
The
nature.
devil.
And all God's people said, "Oh man, you guys missed that cue."
I decided to just let you hang on that one.
What?
Well, Sam, do you want to kick us off?
Okay, so this is less. Okay, so I don't know if anyone listening is familiar. I feel like it's become slightly more common and commonly known, but I did not know about this my entire childhood, and I didn't learn about it until I was in college because I hung out with a bunch of Bible thumping nerds as a Bible major, and it's the whole like Nephilim thing.
I thought you were going to say you found one of two verses that vaguely described something reptilian that may have been a dinosaur, thanks to your youth pastor.
Oh yeah, behemoth.
Nope.
The behemoth.
Yeah.
Leviathan.
Oh,
Yeah.
was that what it was
No,
called?
no, the
Leviathan?
behemoth and the
Both of them.
Leviathan are in the book of Job.
Yeah,
And
behemoth. Sorry.
well, that's a fun one because people like Ken Ham are like, atheists say that it was probably a elephant. And you're like, they probably don't say that because the book is really old and it's clearly a story and they don't believe that it was a real thing. Like I don't so it's that's my favorite is like the straw manning of the creationists, particularly the more absurd ones like Ken Ham are always so quick to be like, the atheists think that. It's like that they don't think that, dude. You're just saying that because you know there isn't a single person in your audience who's ever listened to someone who's an atheist speak, unless it was in a debate with Ken Ham. And then of course it was Bill Nye, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
If one person says it, that means they all think it, though. Obviously.
Yeah.
dude, I was listening to a podcast this week where they were like watching videos of people who, there's like videos where people just go to Disneyland and like show what's in the merch stores this week, or
Yeah.
like
Okay.
give you like tips and tricks on how to make the most of your Disneyland. Like people have a whole career of that.
That's what travel agents are for. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Spending all
Well-
that money going to Disney. Maybe they're monetized.
Dude, they're
but
making money. They make killer money just
these are big
making
channels, then.
YouTube videos about like, 5 of the best dining options at Disney World on a Tuesday.
I'm in the
Cool.
wrong career.
Right?
I know, right? But I was sitting there watching this podcast where they were talking about this and kind of roasting them and stuff, and I was thinking like, I wonder if these exist for the Creation Museum. And
Like vlogs.
yeah, like
Museum
so like
vlogs?
I went digging around on YouTube a little bit and I found several of them that were like, Christian mom blog YouTube channels where they went to the Creation Museum and then they show like footage from it and talk about tips and tricks and blah 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 blah. And I gotta go. We have to go.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh.
I think next time, instead of me coming to visit you or you coming out here to visit me, we should meet up at the Creation Museum.
That's in
Yes.
Kentucky, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Cool.
it's funny because I was watching, and there's a lot of the typical stuff. There's a lot of like bad animatronics and dinosaur recreations and whatnot. And then there was the whole time it's like walking you through like the 7 seas of creation, and
Seas? Oh, I was like,
it's
7
like
seas.
I forget what
Sailing the
it
seven seas. Noah sailed the seven seas. He was the first pirate. It's like,
exactly.
okay.
It was 1 sea became 7 seas, the Tower of Babel Sea. But it at some point during the walkthrough, they like walk into this section that's like I don't know what sea it is. It's like chaos or confusion or whatever. But it just is like a whole big video screen hallway that shows the horrors of living in the fallen world. So it's just like jump cuts of like the twin towers falling and
My
tanks
word.
firing and tsunamis wiping out villages and stuff. And it's like these people's like 5-year-olds like walking through just like just looking at gore, like straight up like the scene from Clockwork Orange where they're holding his eyelids open and
Oh, my
making him watch
word.
war footage.
Ugh.
Oh my
Just
god.
the day at the
That's wild.
Creation Museum.
We used to okay, so speaking of Bill Nye, Bill Nye the Science Guy was my favorite show when I was younger.
I thought it was
Um,
Wishbone.
oh gosh, Wishbone can just jump off a cliff.
I liked Wishbone.
No, because Wishbone had anti-cat lines, and so me and my friend Emily would we
I
built
see.
a sculpture of Wishbone out of sand, and then we stomped on it singing Wishbone.
Okay.
Very
That's
So
dramatic.
witchcraft.
I was
You guys were
very
involved in
upset
witchcraft.
because I was like, animals can all get along. This is so stupid, and I hate this.
Starting a class war or race war with animals. This is messed
Seriously.
up.
I just wanted all the animals to get along, and I wanted all the stupid, dumb, old cat jokes to die, and Wishbone wouldn't let them die, so I killed Wishbone. Anyway, he who must not be named. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, Bill
Bill
Nye the
Nye.
Science Guy.
Bill Nye.
Yeah, so my we obviously were raised in a no evolution, blah blah blah, whatever. But so of course in Bill Nye, the show, they would talk about like millions of years, evolution, blah blah blah. And every time they mentioned it, like me or one of my siblings would just be like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, I remember like saying stuff like that too. Like, oh yeah, we know that's not true. You're watching a science show with a scientist who's teaching you science things, and you're like 7. You're like, this guy thinks he knows stuff. It's like fucking ridiculous.
I don't I don't think it was like because I still really liked the show, but I was just like, do you really know? Like, it wasn't like malicious or anything. I was just kind of like, I don't know. If
Yeah,
someone's listening,
Just
I'm
like a
using finger
10-year-old being
guns.
like, carbon dating isn't real.
yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Okay, we went way off topic.
I know. All right.
Nephilim.
So Nephilim is like so I learned about this in college. It's just like these like it's like these half angel human hybrids that are supposedly the reason that God flooded the world. And I remember when I first heard about it in college, I was like, that shit is whack. Like no, like whoever's saying this, like it this is like it felt like when I learned about lizard people or something like that. You're like, that's clearly insane. And if it was true, like I would have heard about it by now. I grew up in evangelical Christianity. Like if this was true, I would know because I know everything that's true because I grew up in the right group of people. But I heard about it from people who are on the more charismatic side too, and I was like kind of getting used to that whole thing still and was like, there's no way. But then it turned out that more people knew about this than I thought because these are the kinds of conversations you would have on a dorm room at 11 o'clock at night instead of doing normal kid stuff. So it really all stems from Genesis, the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. So I'll just go ahead and read that. And it says, when human beings began to increase in number on earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's
So
wild stuff.
Yeah, it's just thrown right in there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that. And it's just like, did the daughters have a choice in the matter?
No, that's the reoccurring theme of a lot of the Bible is you don't if you're a
Yeah,
daughter.
you're basically a grain of sand.
You don't want to smash an
Hey,
Nephilim.
don't sell yourself short. You're
You
worth
got no
at least
business
one
being
cattle.
so thick.
Oh, that's great.
So
The Nephilim looked down on the daughters of men and said,
Figuratively and oh my god.
So there are a couple other passages. So I ended up kind of doing a little bit of a I can't call it a deep dive because I didn't have a deep dive would probably require like purchasing a book or two and really studying it. But your typical internet deep dive, and there's only like one other clear verse where this whole thing is referenced, and then there's another one. I didn't really include it in what I'm going to read just because you have to get into like it might be this because of the Hebrew word, but it didn't get translated that way, and it was more complicated than I was willing to get into for something as simple as this. But in Ezekiel 13, it's referenced again where it says, but the men who had gone up with him said, we can't, these are scouts, scouting the land that the Israelites were, I don't know, trying to
fixing
take
the
Israel.
genocide.
Yeah, exactly. So we can't attack those people. They're stronger than we are. And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, the land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. So giants, the Nephilim. The thing that, so side note, a lot of the things that you see in the Hebrew Bible about like the descendants of so and so were from these people. The Canaanites were from these people. A lot of this stuff is not like real history. It's like the genealogies were usually or often had came from a place of trying to explain enmity between people. So like Cain and Abel, right? Well, I guess one killed the other, but Shem and what was it?
Ham.
Ham?
Yeah.
Ham.
Like descendants of like Noah's kids, the descendants, and like this kid did something bad and he was cursed, and then these descendants generations down the line are these people. So that's a very common thing, is to attribute like, so when these stories were written and they're trying to explain why there's enmity between the Canaanites and the Israelites, it's all going to be told through story and genealogy. That's my take. That's my understanding. You'll have plenty of people who will say it's real history. How dare you? And that's
So
fine.
it's not going to show up on your 23andMe genealogy report.
No, it probably will not. But that's a great.
I mean,
that would be amazing. Hey,
it
you're
wasn't
part
mine.
Nephilim. They don't put Nephilim on 23andMe. It fucking sucks. I would love to find out if I was part hero
I know,
of
like,
old.
they've got like how much caveman you are. So
Yeah, I was in like the 99th percentile for Neanderthal DNA quotient or whatever.
it must be a Norway thing, because I think mine was really low, but I was like 0.04 African because Sicily, I guess.
So you can. That's like God, my senator. Elizabeth Warren was like, I'm Native American.
Oh, lucky
Yeah,
you.
where's your dang grant money?
Yeah. I'm Native American. I'm like the poster child for like Whitey McWhitebread, and it's just like, I'm Native American. I
Yeah.
get it. Like,
She is the worst.
no, please don't. Look,
These people are frauds.
I'll say before she ran for president, I was fine with her. Not my favorite, but certainly better than any alternative we'd have. And I typically lean more than liberal, I guess. I'm very left leaning.
She's like neoliberal Ted Cruz.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Some
Oh
people
boy.
really try their best to create like a national brand for themselves, and they just do not have a talent for it. And Ted Cruz and Elizabeth Warren are those two people. They suck, and
I
they
don't
just
put her on
take
that same. I will not put her on the same level. I think she had a lot of platforms that were like shitty Bernie light. I don't think. I think I think she ran a terrible campaign, and I think I'm glad she lost. Well, I can say I'm glad she lost, but look who we got for president. So not entirely, but
yeah.
um,
I think when
I
she tried to get all tough customer with Bernie Sanders on stage, I was like,
yeah
I'm done with this person. I
yeah
can't
Yeah,
I
stand
yeah,
this
was,
person.
and then she like totally I don't know yeah whatever. We don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but
yeah,
either way, she's a Native American. Is I think what we're trying to say.
yeah.
You're is
So
African as she is
In the
Native
same way
American.
as I'm African. Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
so you're what, like 1/16 Nephilim?
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, we can't. Casey and I can't be because we're not past 5'5". So
Yeah.
You have to be
I'm
a
an
giant.
18th Nephilim and it's all below the belt.
So did you?
world's first three-legged Nephilim.
There it is. Did you guys see the Noah movie with like I think Russell Crowe is in that, right?
I did. I did.
So
Well, we both did. Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. We saw it in theaters.
God, I
I just
forgot
remember
about that
because
movie.
it
yeah,
was
because
boring. It look
it was
you got to figure if you're gonna make a movie about the last 6 people on Earth, you gotta speed it up a little bit. Like you can only have if you're only gonna have 6 people and a bunch of animals fucking in your movie, then you gotta figure out how to make it more
well,
compelling.
the weird thing was I don't know. I just didn't. It was weird how they spun it as like, oh, we're only saving the pure at heart, the animal. I don't know. I forget what it was. I feel like there was something weird about the
Yeah,
animals.
so that was they took that from a very Jewish interpretation. So Christians,
Okay. Yeah,
another
I
reason
just wasn't
Christians
really
are
sure.
never really know any like I was just we were talking about this before we started recording, but Christians love pretending like the Old Testament is their book and they get it. But
Yeah.
the Jews have been working with that book for a couple good few thousand years now, and they have their own way of reading it. So they took a very Jewish interpretation of it. But I
Okay.
only asked because then at the end of the movie, like the antagonists are like the Nephilim, those giants that are trying to prevent them from making it out alive or something like that. So they do contest with like rock giants in it, and that
Oh,
was the Nephilim. That's what they was supposed to
I
be.
guess I don't
I guess
remember
it's
that
been a
part.
while because I don't remember that. All I remember was I remember this a scene where like people were just like throwing sheep around and stuff. Like and I'm just like, what is this? And then the scene where like all the people were on the rocks surrounded by flood and like upset and stuff, I was just like, oh no, that kind of like
Oh yeah,
was like,
well,
oh, that's not cool. I don't
that
like that.
is also represented in the diorama at the Creation Museum.
Oh
Because one
no.
of
Oh
the
my gosh,
things
that would
I
have
saw in the video was like there's like a big scene set up with the ark and like water all around it and stuff, and a bunch of people like desperately clinging to rocks and
oh
screaming.
my gosh. That would have traumatized me as a child. I mean, I was kind of an easily traumatized child anyway, but that would have really that would have damaged me, I
I
think.
think the word you're looking for is convicted you.
Yes, I have so much guilt and
And imagine so Noah heard all that, and the first thing he does when he gets off the boat is plant a vineyard and wait is patiently to be able to make some wine. Gets a
Oh
little
yeah.
drunk, and then
Shows his kids his balls.
yeah, and
Uh,
it's so funny that that's like that was it's like the sit Noah God. It doesn't even really. It doesn't. I don't even recall it really saying much about the moral nature of Noah getting drunk. It was like his son walked in on him and saw him naked, and the shame was on the person who saw the nakedness, which isn't actually that's not. I think that's kind of an interesting thing too, because it's like Western culture reading that. Like I remember that people trying to explain that to me who didn't know, like maybe like lay people in the church or parents, and it's like they don't know, they don't have any education about the culture in which that was written. They're just like, well, he wasn't supposed to get drunk, and then it's like, where is this coming from? None of this is in the text. And then my buddy Phil, who we've had on the podcast, was talking about how protests there are people who protest in Uganda by stripping naked, because the people who see you are the ones that feel the shame. Like it in I guess wherever in that culture, some African cultures, it's like that's still a form of protest because it's like shameful to see that. I don't know. It's like, so, but when he told me that, I actually immediately thought of like, oh, that's interesting in regard to that story, because the shame was on the person who walked in and saw somebody naked. I think that's interesting, but now we're still off from the main point here, which is Nephilim decided, hey, we're these angels and we would like to have sex with some human ladies and I guess make a monster race that will eventually result in God flooding the earth. So what I think was also cool, as I learned, there's a bunch of extra biblical texts that we as good evangelicals never learned about. But do you guys recall learning about the Book of Enoch ever?
Yes.
I knew it existed, but it's forbidden.
And this is like one that pops up in like conspiracy theory circles too.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so I forget in which New Testament book it is. I believe Paul might quote the Book of Enoch at one point, and he's very specifically says the book in the Book of Enoch, whatever.
They were both written about the same time, which is, the 1600s AD.
Yeah. So
the King James English. If it's good enough for Paul, it's good enough for me.
That's right.
So the Book of Enoch, this is so cool, and now I want to read it. I'm really interested in learning more about this because I'm just going to rip the Wikipedia on this and what this is about. But ancient Hebrew apocalyptic religious text ascribed by tradition to Enoch, the great grandfather of Noah. It was probably written in like the 300s BCE, but Enoch contains unique material on the origins of demons and Nephilim, why some angels fell from heaven, and an explanation of why the Genesis flood was morally necessary, and prophetic exposition of the 1,000-year reign of the Messiah. I guess it's broken up into like 3 books, but there's only one group of Christians that consider it as part of their canon, and it's like the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has canonized the Book of Enoch.
Okay.
So I thought that was dope.
So it's not in the. I don't know what the books of the Catholic Bible are because, again, that was forbidden. But I guess I assumed that all the books that weren't in the Bible were in the Catholic Bible.
I guess I know it's the Apocrypha. We were talking about that a little while ago. I can't remember.
Catholics just put whatever in.
I can't remember
Ted
what
Nugent
level they
wrote
hold
one of the
that
books
at.
in the Catholic Bible.
But so the first part of the Book of Enoch it just describes the fall of the Watchers, the angels who fathered the angel human hybrids called the Nephilim.
Watchers.
And the remainder of the book describes Enoch's revelations and his visits to heaven in the form of travels, visions, and dreams.
It's kind of like opposite day Dante.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's what's really cool about this story is like, I think having the Nephilim concept thrown into the first book of the Bible, like I think it really shows you some of the ties, the cultural ties that there are to just like ancient mythology and how that was very much part of the culture, and that and not just the culture of that, but the world, like everything was rooted in mythology in some one way or another. In Enoch, first Enoch 7:2, it says, and when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, come, let us select ourselves wives for the progeny of men, and let us beget children.
Oh boy.
So I don't know, it's like a reoccurring theme. And so that the whole book, and then there's another book so the Book of Enoch, I guess, was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls around that time. And same with another book called the Book of Jubilee, the Book of Jubilees, which narrates the genesis of angels on the first day of creation and the story of how a group of fallen angels mated with mortal females, giving rise to the race of giants known as the Nephilim. So like
Oh.
this is super like this was being written about in a number of places. Uh and it was pretty like widely believed, like and mostly extra biblical, but still like part of it. And I don't know. I think that's cool as shit. And I want to definitely read the Book of Enoch because the way that it's like broken up, it seems pretty neat. But I like that there's like these stories that were written, but like, you know, third, fourth century BCE, trying to explain, which was only like 100, maybe 200 years at best after like the Bible started, or I should say the Torah started being canonized, or not even canonized, but like redacted and edited and like put together as like as a whole. Although before that it was all just like people would write bits and pieces, tell stories, but it wasn't like compiled, edited, and redacted into like one thing until like the 5th or 6th century. So not too long after that, there's people writing all these stories about how these angels fell from grace and fathered an abominable race that God tried to destroy.
It's just
Uh,
like ancient cultures trying to cope with the existence of offensive linemen.
yeah. Oh, one of the stories is that God tried to drown them, but the Watchers were 450 feet tall, and the waters didn't get high enough to kill them.
Oh boy.
So that's cool.
It feels a little like it's like the Transformers movie. Like it's a fun idea, but they just overdid it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You know,
Terrible.
And they shouldn't have put Shia LaBeouf in it.
you made them too big, and they do too many somersaults. It's very hard to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bumblebee just wasn't funny, guys.
No.
Mm-mm.
The people who thought Bumblebee was funny was just so I was like, I know how to categorize you and your
Oh
sense of
yeah.
humor, and
Me
that we're
too, but
not
I'm not going to
compatible.
say it.
Casey thought Bumblebee was funny. Is that why he's so quiet right now?
No. Oh
Oh
man.
man.
Didn't that asshole get his own movie?
I think he did.
Oh
Ugh,
He,
jeez.
like talks through the radio.
No thanks. I'm
Yeah.
good.
nice.
Terrible. Oh, so I think it was the second Transformers movie. My buddy and I were hanging out. We didn't have anything to do, and we went to it in Traverse City, and it was so bad. Like it was so bad that I remember like looking at him like 3/4 of the way through, being like, "This is awful. I hate this movie." But it had like there was two like little robots that were supposed to be like the comic relief,
Ugh, dude,
and they were
No.
so annoying the whole
that
time.
never goes over well with that kind of like. It never works. Why? I'm trying to think of why. Why does it
They
not
just
work?
they want it's like the jokes are too obvious. It's like pointing at them, be like, these are the ones you're supposed to laugh at. Look,
Yeah,
this is it. These are the ones.
they
Yeah.
love
And I hate
puns.
that.
Were there a lot of puns?
Oh yeah, and its parents are like, "Oh, they're quirky and dorky, and they don't know they're making sex references." Just
Oh my
fine.
the
gosh.
worst.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm all set. I think I only ever saw the first one,
That's
and
fine.
it's like
And I mean,
I don't need more of this.
no, the first one sucked too.
Yeah,
Ugh.
All right, are you ready for ours?
I am.
Okay.
Yours might be a little less sci-fi. Okay, before we jump into that, I've said this before a little bit about like characters from the Book of Judges and how like so Noah was like the first attempt at making a movie not from an evangelical perspective but using stories from the Bible. I don't think I thought it had potential. I thought there were some great scenes, really good concepts. I liked what they did with it. It was just so long and overly, it just got played out. But take this story for like how I would love to see this. I think if you tried to make something like this into a movie, or so there's so many stories that I'm like, that would be such a badass story. You would watch somebody just like 300, right? You would just watch someone like absolutely obliterate hundreds and hundreds of people on their own and just be fucking cool. I would like to see more cool movies made like that. I want R-rated Bible movies more than anything is what I'm hoping to see that in my lifetime.
I guarantee you, if we Googled Nephilim movie, I bet you we
Oh my
could find
gosh.
10 B movies made
Oh my
with like
god!
the Nephilim as a part of the premise.
And the main
Oh, they'd be
character is
like,
a man with a perm. Absolutely.
oh, what's his face? I am
John C.
here
Riley.
now.
Oh yeah, Neil Breen.
Neil Breen.
I was thinking of no one can think of names apparently. Who's the comedian that was in that Revelation movie we watched, Casey?
I don't
Gary Busey.
know.
Nope.
Oh, Howie
Howie
Mandel.
Mandel.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was
What
a
Oh my
is he
struggle.
word.
doing?
We need to see him in more movies.
Oh yeah, maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Take us to church, Casey.
Okay, so speaking of 300, today we're going to be talking about the story of Esther, which
Okay.
we were kicking around ideas earlier. I'm like, man, I'm supposed to bring a Bible story, and I have an idea here and one there, but nothing that I'm like sold on yet. And April's like, what was do you remember the story of Esther? And I was like, I kept getting it confused with Ruth. I could not remember what it was, but like we started digging into it, and it's juicy. And
Delicious, really.
all right, so it's funny you mentioned 300 because that's kind of where our story starts. It starts with King Xerxes, with a big, deep voice, and
Yes. I almost did it. I almost was going to do an impersonation. Knew that would go horribly.
you can't
You-
impersonate it because it's an unachievable voice.
Yeah. Is it manipulated or is that a
It's
real voice?
it's gotta be.
I don't remember it too well, but
I
did
don't
you
remember
ever
what it
watch
sounds
the
like.
Underworld movies?
Yeah.
Yes.
The first one, but the second one made me feel sick.
I've watched all of them a lot of times. If I have one guilty, I guess I'll call it a guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty about it. I love those movies, and I think it's an absolute goddamn travesty that Kate Beckinsale gave up on one of the best stories of all time.
I think the only thing I can think of because of my costume stuff, I think, is how can anybody flip around in a corset?
I
Like,
think
that's unnatural.
I think it's quite possible the first time I knew for certain that I was straight was when I watched the first Underworld movie.
Oh my word.
Bite me, mommy.
Ugh.
Ew. Now I don't know. Not anymore. I think I'm just asexual after that, but
nobody
Listen
nobody
to
wants
that.
to hear
Just,
my ASMR videos.
I mean,
Go
he
ahead.
can send you a clip of that over and over again if you want.
Yeah,
We'll clip that out and use it as a drop.
you can listen to
Yeah.
that while you conceive your next child.
Oh,
Bite
Mm.
me, mommy.
God, I hate you.
So, King
Anyway.
Xerxes, he was the king of the Persian Empire, which was big. King Xerxes was a baller. He had a lot of money, a lot of land, a lot of subjects, and he wanted to show them off. So, the story kind of starts out with King Xerxes throwing this big celebration to just kind of like showcase his vast amounts of wealth. He basically did this I don't know if you'd call it a festival or what, but it lasted 6 months.
Like a
God
feast.
damn. That's a party.
Feast festival.
Yeah, it was basically like the
Feastival.
World Fair, but all
Like a
about
rave.
Xerxes and lasted for 6 months.
I'm picturing a rave, but
Oh,
in robes. A lot of ecstasy being done.
Yeah.
made in the labs of ancient Persia.
Yeah. What did they
I'm
have?
sure
What's
they
the
had
natural ecstasy?
hallucinogenics.
Yeah, some sort of
Some kind of plant.
Peyote or
they were going
Yeah.
off.
Flip over all the turds. Find it.
So at the end of this celebration, he throws this like giant feast for all of the men in his like court. I guess it was his court. It basically said like
Yeah.
all of the men that wanted to come were able to come to this
nobles.
party.
Can you imagine partying for 6 months?
No.
It sounded cool
can't
for a
imagine-
second, and now it sounds awful.
I can't imagine doing that for like 2 hours.
Well, and this last deal, this last like big banquet thing is for 7 days.
Yeah.
And
Christ.
so like everybody, all the men that wanted to come could come, and it was open bar, and it was just people getting trashed and eating until they throw up. It sounded like it was just straight debauchery.
And when you say all the men who wanted to come could come, you mean
Oh, the men.
Exactly what you think.
the present? Okay.
Just put it in your mind. That's it.
And it was all men. The women basically had their own separate party. They got to throw a party in the royal palace for all
he
the
didn't
noble
allow
women.
them to come to the real party, so they had to have their own party.
Yeah.
So somewhere in
you guys can have you want a party too? Okay.
You guys want a little tea party? Okay.
You
Have
want
your
to
wine
dress up?
night.
Yeah, the men are just
Wine
like drunkenly dry humping each other, and the women are having a pampered chef party in the royal palace.
The men are playing Spider-Man with their friends. I know Spider-Man wasn't around yet, but conceptually it's still there.
So somewhere towards the end of this 7-day banquet, Xerxes, he's drunk.
Banquet?
Yes.
Banquet.
He decides, I want to showcase how his smoking hot wife, I think that's what the rough translation is.
Put it in youth pastor terms.
Yeah, come in with a big youth pastor energy here.
Oh.
Right. So he sends out, he tells his 7 sacred eunuchs, Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass.
And those were all non-binary names.
They had to be. I mean, that was definitely their situation. I keep thinking of that TikTok thing that's going around right now with the opera singers, where it's like, Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona.
Isn't it funny that eunuchs are talked about a number of times throughout the Bible, and it's
it seems pretty commonplace.
Yeah, it wasn't uncommon, and I feel like there was there was probably some debates about it, but generally people were like, and this person was a eunuch, and that was a choice they made, and and people were like, okay,
was it, or is it a
and
thing
now
that
we're
they
still
did make?
freaking the fuck out about it too. It's like they freaked out. They did a lot of fucked up stuff in those days, and one of the things that they didn't maybe get entirely wrong was just they didn't freak out about people who wanted to be eunuchs.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, I'm like, did they do that so that they wouldn't assault people or something?
I think
it was a practice.
Only the king is allowed to assault people. Okay.
Yeah. If you want to be in my court, we have to chop off your penis.
It's basically the common denominator that makes people untrustworthy is apparently testicles.
Yeah,
I was gonna say they chopped off the testicles, not the penis. Right?
Maybe I feel like there were situations where they removed their genitals completely. Maybe not.
No,
I guess I thought it was the testicles because that's
the
the organ where the sperm and stuff is created. And
I will. We'll do an episode. I'm gonna look into biblical eunuchs in biblical times, and
because I know. In other sources, it's oh, they chopped off his wiener or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Rough translation there, too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't think that people probably chose to be eunuchs. I think that was a choice made for them when they were very young.
It's if you want to work in the court, that must happen to you.
My understanding was always they took young boys and did that to them. It's hey,
I just don't know how they would.
Young boy, this is gonna suck, but I need a butler.
The thing that sucks, dude, is when you try to Google anything about the Bible, the first 6,000 options you get are from evangelicals. They just dominate the market.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, the 7 royal eunuchs, including Harbona, Bigtha, and Carcass, were told to go fetch the queen. Her name was Vashti, which is a pretty cool name. And she was...
I'm sorry. Sorry.
She was throwing a party with the royal women in the palace, right? So the king says, eunuchs, go tell the queen to get on her full-on royal duds, get that full-scale, royalty drip going with the crown and everything.
Whatever it is.
And come showcase her beauty to my drunken guests. And
I just ugh.
yeah, it sounds exactly like it. I think it was exactly what it sounds like. It's like a drunken
Yeah.
guy making a request, and he's like, "Oh, go
Hey.
down here and show him how good you look."
Yeah. I
So
could just
Very,
I don't know.
very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
so they go interrupt Vashti
It
at her
makes me think
party.
of all the memes of the guys yelling in girls' ears. It's like
Oh my gosh.
it's
The
like
worst.
the whole, you go down there. You need to go down there and show them how good you dance. You're a really good dancer. I think it's really important that everyone goes and sees how good you.
Oh, that just gives me not flashbacks because that's never really happened, but I can feel the feelings.
Well, everybody knows the
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
the
Like,
ones that work.
hey, go like show off to these dudes so they can ogle you. And you can just stand there like a piece of meat. Just stand there and have them look at how beautiful you are. Like, no, like I don't know, they're like, oh, every girl wants to feel beautiful, but that's not the same.
I
Some
begged for that
dudes just
opportunity
want
when I
to.
was younger.
Some dudes just want to hug.
Oh
Oh my
God!
gosh, kill me.
Can we do we keep that inside or do we explain that joke? I feel like people need to know.
I'll just say there's towns that I don't go to.
For some reason, that's a lane. That's a lane.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy that just wants a hug lane, and those people somehow find April and send
Yeah.
her very compelling
Please
messages.
don't.
They slide
I'm
into
not-
her DMs and they're like, "Hey, I live close to you.
Yeah,
Can
talking
we meet
about
up so I
geography
can
is
pay
creepy
you
as fuck.
for like a gesture of affection?"
Yeah, like not even for money. I like money as much as the next person, but there's limits. There are
I'll hug
limits.
him.
But there's limits.
Yeah,
but
Casey will do it for you.
Yeah.
He's more of a hugger than I am. So
he's like, I will hug April for 10 seconds and immediately come and hug you
okay,
before
he
the
will
hug
hug.
wears off.
Casey's gonna hug you, and his wiener will touch yours.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee. It comes with a price.
Because it's
know?
the size of a Nephilim, so it's clearly going to. You can't not be touched by it if you're within
He's
a
gonna be like,
certain
"Wow, Casey,
vicinity.
do you have 3 legs? That's crazy." It's like, "No, that's just the Nephilim showing."
23andMe.
Is that a
said
Nephilim in
I've
your
got
pocket, or
Nephilim
are
in
you
me.
happy to see me?
I got Nephilim in me, and it could be in you soon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, secondhand hugs for money, definitely. It's like drinking an April flavored LaCroix.
Yeah,
It's like,
pretty
ew.
much. I'm there, but vaguely.
It's prostitution light. It's barely, maybe potentially
It's-
sex work, but not exactly.
I think it's legal, possibly.
Yeah, I don't think you could get arrested. Okay, but you said there's limits, which means there's got to be a dollar value for $1,000. Like, I mean, just what if you threw a number out at this guy? You're like $1,000. Do you think he'd be like, I'm in?
I'd be afraid because I don't want to touch somebody else's genitals.
You're not. You're just hugging him. He's wearing pants. He's not Donald ducking it in the middle of a police station.
There are ways. I have experienced many Comic-Cons. Okay.
Tell him you can't wear sweatpants.
Dude, you can only show up if you wear a dance belt.
You have to wear
Dance belts
Spanx and you
only.
can't wear sweatpants.
Yeah. No gray Walmart sweatpants, please. Dance belts
We want
and
you to have like
500K.
a priest in the Little Mermaid situation,
Dude,
that's terrible.
That's truly an amazing thing that Disney did there. It's unparalleled, I think, in all of their other work.
Do you think that was on purpose?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They did that in
Okay.
all of their movies at that time.
Because The Lion King is my favorite, and I don't want to believe that they would put sex in The Lion King.
Oh, they did.
That was my favorite.
They did. Now, the other one I heard was like...
kids aren't allowed to watch Disney movies for that
They're
reason.
only allowed to watch Disney
What
movies.
if it was SFX? Special effects.
Maybe. We'll let you think that, April.
That's what I believe, because I was very involved in the Lion King fandom when I was like 14. So
you were like a furry adjacent. You barely missed that train.
I had a persona.
Yeah,
so that tells you
especially
anything.
with your childhood anxiety, that you very well could have ended up in that world.
I had a lot of I will say the people that were in those forums were very nice to me, which was great because I was very shy. So it was great to have someone be like, "Wow, you're a cool person."
You're a great Nala.
Oh my gosh. I had
There's
my
worse
own
places
character,
to end
so.
up. I
You
mean, you could
know,
have ended up in the like pregnant Sonic fandom.
Oh
yeah, oh my
Christ, dude!
gosh.
Why is that a thing?
Ugh, I don't get the
What a
pregnancy thing.
nightmare!
I don't get it. Maybe it's because I have no desire to be pregnant. I have no concept of how that would ever be a positive thing.
I feel like we've mentioned this before, but if you're confused by that reference, just go Google pregnant Sonic.
Make sure
Pregnant
Safe
Sonic
Search is on though.
off.
It's unending fan artwork of like Sonic the Hedgehog pregnant and like with this like, you know, beaming smile, and some of them like Knuckles is like standing beside him looking proud and
Yeah.
like with a hand on his belly.
It's
There's
insane.
other fandoms that do that too. Like I feel like I've seen like pregnant like Pikachu and stuff too.
Oh my
I think.
god! What?
I don't
I'm more
know.
of a
It's
pregnant Pikachu guy, I think.
yeah, I could see that.
I
Yeah.
love that the internet, when it started, people were like, this is going to change the world. Everything's going to be better. And now it's
Yeah.
like we're on the brink of societal collapse due to our inability to have conversations about how facts work, and we
Oh my
draw
word.
pregnant Sonic.
I'm very thankful that I ended up on like the more pure side of the quote unquote furries, because it was just like so my claim to fame in the furry fandom was I created like the longest role play scenario of all time in one of the forums that I was in.
Wait a second.
Okay.
What?
Casey's like learning new
I
stuff
thought
on
I
the
told you about
podcast.
this. No, it was
That's
just
what
like
she
I
does
just
when she drops a bomb on you. She goes, "Oh, I thought I told you about this."
I did, you know? It's things when something's been floating around in my brain, I forget who I tell. No, it wasn't like anything like too crazy. It was just like one of my characters that I made up was going down to the water hole and was like and in the evening, and she didn't really have very many friends. And so she was going down to the water hole and drinking, and then like the next person would be like, my character comes up and says, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah. And then like all these other people would join in, and like all their characters would come up, and you'd kind of be like interacting with each other, but it was your lion characters interacting with each other.
Okay.
So that one, it turned into like a really, really long one, like role play thing, I guess. And it wasn't, and I feel like nobody believes me when I say it wasn't sexual because everyone associates furries with sexual things. But it was literally just, I was like 14 and I was homeschooled and I had no idea about anything except The Lion King and its existence. So I was just like, oh, my character is like interacting with this other person's character. How cool, blah, blah, blah. And I made like little friends on there and stuff that were like my age. And then like, I don't know. It was interesting. It was fun. Like, cause I didn't have like a ton of friends like at youth group and stuff. I had a couple in a couple grades below me. But I didn't have anybody that was like into like art and stuff like I was. And so these people were all into the same things that I was. So it was interesting.
Well, I hate to burst the bubble of innocence, but one of the people you were interacting with was definitely jerking off at some point during
Probably, you know,
that.
I nobody in this entire earth believes me, but whenever I started doing Patreon stuff, I didn't realize what people were doing with my pictures.
It's hard to
And
believe. I mean, it's definitely hard to
I
believe, but
I thought they were just like,
I do believe you, but I believe in why other people don't.
yeah,
Given the world we
I
live
just
in.
I was just like, wow, they think I'm pretty and they just want to save my pictures to their computer because that's like what I would do.
In
I'm
a
just like, oh, this is
secret
a pretty
folder.
thing to look at, like a piece of art on the wall. This is or like this figurine over here, like, wow, that looks really nice. And then that's it. But I guess not. So it burst my bubble.
Yeah. The world is a dark and scary place.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I'm too old to be like that, but you know, it's fine. Whatever.
Well, hey, the goo's got to come out sometime.
Oh, I hate it. Okay. Anyway, what's Esther doing?
So what's up with Esther?
Okay,
Speaking of the goo's gonna come out sometime.
So
No! Oh my
No?
word.
7 holy eunuchs or whatever go to summon the queen, who's throwing her lady party at the palace. right? Probably playing like some flirty bachelorette party games, like pin the penis on the hunk,
On the
or
man.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the eunuch.
yeah, something along those lines. Anyways, the eunuchs are like, "Hey, the king said he wants you to get all gussied up and go down to the party so you can showcase your beauty." And the queen is like, "Oh, now he wants me at the party? I thought I was supposed to have my own party. I'm entertaining guests here. I'm not interested in going to his man party so I can strut around for him." Like, no.
No.
Which I don't think Xerxes heard no a lot.
I doubt it.
No.
Yeah. So, anyways, the eunuchs deliver this message to King Xerxes, and he was upset and also drunk. Not in at his best. So he like is just incensed, doesn't know what to do. First time he's heard no since he, like, I don't know, genocided his first race or whatever. And so he summons like his 7 nobles to talk out what they're gonna do about this situation.
Noble dudes, notably.
Yes. I keep thinking like 300 style, like whatever, when they're in the tent or whatever. Like, one's probably the goat man, one's the like big fat dude with the cleaver hands.
I
I
apparently don't remember this movie well.
That sounds like Silent Hill.
Yeah, one's got the mask on and the sharpened teeth underneath.
I've
Oh,
only
okay.
seen that movie once, I think.
Yeah, I think I did too.
It's a fun movie.
I don't get into movies with where everyone's chests are photoshopped or special effects.
It's like it's the contrasting lighting, I think, is what does that.
So weird. I think they actually did
Did they Photoshop?
All the chests were like the muscly chests on everyone where it's all CGI. Yeah.
Weird. Except, well, yeah.
What?
I'd have to look that up.
I swear to God, dude.
There's like 1,500 videos about like, what's his face's
Gerard Butler's workout routine or something.
Yeah, how he got fit for 300.
It's like, I know he got fit, but it's like, I think the lighting kind of helped it a little bit.
Well, yeah, like the whole movie is definitely a wash in CGI.
I don't think. Right. Anyway, we'll have to look that up later.
I'm wrong, but
we don't have cold hard facts yet.
Downloading images of Gerard Butler's chest right now.
Oh, there you go.
I'm like not good at finding stuff fast on the internet.
So I think it would be best to read where this goes from here, because this is a fun interaction between these guys.
It is. It's quite interesting.
Okay, so since it was customary for the king to consult experts in matters of law and justice, he spoke with the wise men who understood the times and were closest to the king. And then it names them off. I don't know why they throw all these names in here, but there's 7 nobles.
It's important.
Persia.
They're wizards. They're wizards, Harry.
They said they had special access to the king, and they were the highest in the kingdom.
They understood the times.
Yeah, they were men of learning.
Yeah, okay.
According to law, what must be done to Queen Vashti? He asked. She has not obeyed the command of King Xerxes, who is speaking about himself in the third terms, or in the third person, that the eunuchs have taken to her. Then Memucan replied in the presence of the king and the nobles, quote, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king, but also against all the nobles and the peoples of all the provinces of King Xerxes. For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, and so they will despise their husbands and say, quote, King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she would not come. So they're getting real like Yas Queen with it.
This is like the precursor to forming Gilead in The Handmaid's Tale.
This very day, the Persian and Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. There will be no
don't cut off our wives' fingers.
Disrespect and discord.
Like, if we don't cut off our wives' fingers, all the other wives will think they can just act out.
Yeah, next they're going to try to learn to read.
How dare they?
They're like,
You know?
Xerx, you're sparing the rod right now. And in doing so, you're spoiling the kingdom.
It's like, yeah, hey, Xerx, you kind of look like a bit of a pussy right now.
You're
maybe,
a
maybe
tool.
step it up a bit, buddy.
Like, dude, you have been publicly cucked at the highest level.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
We
not in the
have
way
to
that you like,
reestablish
when you
order
want to be.
before women start thinking of themselves as people.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
like
word.
cucking is funny because it's like, if you want to be, it's like the highest form of entertainment. But if you don't want to be, it's like the lowest form. It's
It's an insult that you can throw
yeah.
around. It's like I
Cucks
saw
love being cucks. That's what's funny is like a cuck is someone who's like voluntarily goes. I guess it's not necessarily, but there's like, it's like what do you call it? Consensual, non-consensual.
like Jerry Jr.
Right. He liked being cucked.
He liked being a private cuck.
Yeah,
Now,
you know, in
like,
the
so
corner.
even the people who say they don't, it's like, oh, you're a cuck because you're a beta. Is that a good impression of
Gosh.
Jesse Lee Peterson?
Oh my gosh.
Should I not do
Worst
impressions
beta.
of him?
This
The worst
beta.
person.
Amazing.
Ugh.
Amazing. Amazing.
Cannot
That
hear-
impression was
not-
Amazing.
I cannot hear the word amazing anymore ever again.
I feel like an impression of him means like you have to like put your tongue up into the back of your throat to block your nasal passages when you use like ends is like how that works.
Yeah.
I feel like that if I try to talk in a Michigan accent, which I can't do because I can't do accents.
I feel like you can't. God, should I say this? I will. I feel like you can't impersonate him without sounding like you're doing an impression of someone who's mentally challenged, and then
my
you
God.
look like a really bad person. I don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to.
I don't know
impersonate him.
I should know what the right thing to say there is, but there's not a good way to put that. I'm just saying, if you try to do his impression, you sound like you're doing an impression of something else.
Yeah, not great.
And
Not
it's
great.
not great for public consumption. So anyway,
Sam and I went back and forth on a video recently where Jesse Lee Peterson is talking to a caller. People listen to this guy talk and they call into his show to ask his advice, which is the worst
my
advice
God.
in the world. He's an idiot.
an idiot.
So this caller calls in and says, basically says like, I loved my dog and it died and now I'm sad. Does that make me a beta?
and Jesse Lee Peterson's just like, yes,
It does.
you're a
It does.
beta cuck and
You
you're an
made-
awful person.
It was like you made your dog your god, and I could have sworn he said. I could have sworn that he said something about like if like your wife died, it's like the same thing, but I don't remember.
He had an
I don't remember if he said
ex-wife,
that.
right? He's like, I went through the same feelings when I got divorced from my ex-wife. I was sad, and I don't want to walk around being sad all the time. I think life's better. I think we're supposed to live and be happy. I don't think it's right to just walk around and be sad. And
Okay.
Jesse Lee Peterson just like, yeah, you made your dog your god, and that's why you're sad. You shouldn't be sad. Like
Oh my
basically,
gosh.
he basically was like, yeah, you're a beta. You're a beta because you are sad that your dog died, and you shouldn't have feelings if you want to be a real man.
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
it's literally like that like cautionary youth group teachings of like, oh, anything that you like too much is an
Right.
idol. It's like that
Oh,
taken
yeah.
to its
it's that.
stupidest conclusion. If
Yeah.
you love anything, to the point where like it affects you, that's beta.
That I
Yeah.
think he said stuff about like, because a dog can't love you. A dog doesn't love you. A dog's not a person. It's like,
Yeah.
bitch, you've never owned a dog, I guess. Like, and if you have, I feel
Well,
bad for that dog. But dogs
I was
look
gonna
at
say
you
I
like
could
you're the only person in their life that matters.
I could debate that, but it's fine. A lot of people think
We're
that.
not going back to Wishbone.
Oh my gosh.
Just because you're a cat person.
I forgot to tell you that I wrote a letter to PBS asking them to switch script writers
Amazing.
because I had enough heart
Amazing.
to oh my god. I had enough heart to be like, okay, it's not the animal's fault, it's not the actor's fault, it's the script writer's fault. They're the bad one. And so I wrote a letter to PBS saying, your scriptwriter stinks. I didn't say that exact word because I was a kind child.
And stinks was a swear in your household.
Well, the D word and the S word were dumb and stupid for a while in our house. But I said that I think they need a new scriptwriter because I didn't appreciate their scriptwriter writing all these really annoying things. And I think their show could be really great without it. And because it was history and I really liked history. And they sent me back a letter that was literally just a form asking for donations.
It's a total mega church move.
I know.
Yeah.
Asking for your seed money.
I know. And I'm just like, are you what? I don't remember how old I was, like 8 or so, like maybe 3rd grade or something like that. And I'm just like, what? Why would they send this to me? Like, this is so dumb. I hate this.
God, that's really funny. So like now we got your mailing address, asshole.
I know. Like my parents were probably just like, oh no, now we're gonna get PBS mail forever. That was the worst. I was a passive protester. It's fine, you know. Writing letters. I drew I cut out angry eyebrows and stuck them on all my stuffed animals and lined all my stuffed animals along my bed in protest. And then I think another time, I don't remember what it was about. Yeah, another time
parents come in like, these people support me, Mom, and they're just as pissed at you.
We have consensus.
My mom took a picture of it. She thought it was funny. I think there was another time where I stuck all my stuffed animals lined up on the bed and all their like butts were in the air. Like just all these stuffed animal butts were in the air as a protest of something. I don't remember what it was.
You're like, and that was when you learned that peaceful protests don't get shit done, right?
Yeah, then
you should have burned down a Target.
Well, I progressed to the anti-wishbone march. So where I had me and my siblings march down our stairs and I had a jar full of pennies and I was shaking it.
And you were protesting wishbone in your house.
Yes, in my own house.
You fucking had it out for that dog.
New Jersey customs are strange and foreign.
Yeah, I was very upset, and the New Jersey way to protest is to make some noise. So I made lots of noise.
We are close to Philadelphia.
It's true. I know. At least I didn't set anything on fire. Okay.
If you set the GBH studios on fire, you possibly could have made an impact, though.
Dude, I knew where the studio. It was somewhere in. I don't remember where it is now, but I remember they used to say where their studio was in Pennsylvania. And one of the studios was in Pennsylvania. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway.
You're still ruminating on this. You're like, I still might do it. I don't know.
The feelings.
It's like furiously researching Ted Kaczynski, trying to figure out how to send him a mail bomb.
Yeah. I'm going to send you some cat turds in a bag.
So the kingdom is on the edge.
Yeah. What do we got left here?
Total disaster, right? The women are close to revolt because Vashti wouldn't come to the king's party at his behest. So the wise nobles, their recommendation is, therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repealed, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone else who is better than she. Then when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all his vast realm, all the women will respect their husbands, from the least to the greatest, from the schlubs to the puds.
Aww, that's nice.
The king and his nobles were pleased with this advice. So the king did as Memucan proposed. He sent dispatches to all parts of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler over his own household, using his native tongue.
That is some Gilead shit. That's some under his eye, praise be kind of stuff.
Yeah, were they reading this when they're writing that script?
They must have.
Xerxes put out angry eyebrows and he pasted them over all of his eunuchs.
And then put their butts in the air in protest of Vashti.
Put your butts in the air. Show us your empty coin purse.
Yeah, did they cut it off or did they just like empty the purse,
Probably just emptied the purse.
Yeah.
So it's like when you get your dog neutered, it still has a little.
I was going to say, when we got one of our cats, we were like, they were like, he's neutered, and we're like, why does he still have a ball sack? But it was empty.
Yeah, it's just like a little floppy raisin, and our other cat would his default wrestling move was to bite it.
Oh, come
Yeah.
on. Does he like stretch it
I-
out like he's like yanking on it with his teeth? It's like
Well,
like chewing it
Milo
like
would, like,
pulling on a piece of gum out of your mouth.
he would like tackle him. Milo would like tackle him like from the front, but then like kind of dive bomb and like put his like just like grab onto his testes.
He liked the way it felt on his front teeth.
He
I
did that
guess. It
cat
was
thing
hella
where they kind of
gummy.
like cock their head and get crazy eyes and open their mouth where they're like, "Ah!" really wind up for the nut bite.
Oh yeah, I think we got it on video somewhere.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Oh yeah.
So later, when King Xerxes' fury
more?
had subsided. Oh yeah. Okay, we're getting into the fun stuff now.
We're just getting into the fun stuff.
So he wakes up
Why
from
do we
his
do
drunken
two?
stupor.
Why do we think that we can fit more things in than we can?
Our episodes are usually like 2.5 hours long, so I think we're
Yeah,
okay.
it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
So he wakes up from his drunken stupor and remembers that he had banished Vashti, right? And it kind of sounds to me like he's having like a post drinking binge regret
Oh yeah.
over what he had did. He's
what?
like, that was over the top. Can I write a royal apology? Can I get Vashti back? And they're like, it's the laws of Persia and Media which cannot be repealed, you know?
Even though you're the king, you
And
can't
it's
do
the
it.
next day. They don't have phones.
So
Nobody else
weird.
knows yet. Nobody. Like maybe like 10 people outside the palace have heard this, but they don't know.
Yep.
It's a rumor at this
Like
point.
we've sent the pigeons already.
Right.
They don't have a recall button.
And he's like, I'm sad. And his attendants are like, I know what we can do. They said, let a search be made for beautiful young virgins for the king. Let the king appoint commissioners in every province of his realm to bring all these beautiful young women into the harem at the citadel of Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Haggai, the king's eunuch. What's this guy in eunuchs? Who is in charge of the women. And let beauty treatments be given to them, which is fascinating. I really want to know what that means in ancient terms.
Me too. I don't know. I'm
You-
very interested in that. I need a beauty tutorial from like 480 BC.
You know, in the 1800s, like bare knuckle boxers would like soak their hands in horse urine to like harden their
gosh.
knuckles. And I think that's exactly what these women would do with their faces.
Just soak
Yeah,
their
just-
faces in it.
Harden them.
Yeah, they just motorboat a bowl of horse urine all day
Yeah.
to preserve their beauty.
I don't know that
Yeah.
you would have lasted as a beautician in these times, but
Yeah, so they host this this contest for Persia's next top concubine. and so like the goal is to search throughout the entire Persian Empire and find all the prettiest tweens and bring them to the palace where the eunuch
For
can
this-
like do like a 2000s teen movie where they take their glasses off and straighten their hair and it's like she's pretty now.
Wow, look
She's
at
not
that.
a nerd anymore.
The Princess Diaries.
The Princess Diaries was an awful movie.
Oh, my word.
I know
Me and
people
Emily
loved
used to-
it. Maybe
we
I
used
just
to
didn't
watch
like
that.
it because Shelby watched it like back to back to back.
Probably.
But
I don't remember much about it except Emily and I used to watch it a lot, but we used to watch a lot of those movies.
there was a lot of them at that point in time.
Yeah.
It was
yeah,
like, she's
that
not
one.
a
that was
nerd
a lane
anymore.
for a minute.
Yeah.
So in the citadel of Susa, there was a Jewish guy named Mordecai. He was of the tribe of Benjamin, and he had been carried to there in exile from Jerusalem when King Nebuchadnezzar did all of his whatnot in Babylon.
All of his Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, that's a fascinating guy. I definitely want to do a little more reading on Nebuchadnezzar because he seems interesting.
Yeah.
So it says that he had
That's a homeschool family name right there. A homeschool family would name their kid Nebuchadnezzar still.
But wasn't he a baddie though? I don't think they would name him after a baddie.
Yeah, maybe because he was a bad guy, they wouldn't.
He
But
kind of went back and forth, didn't he? Like he would kind of sober up and praise
Well,
God.
after he couldn't burn the dudes alive, maybe he was like, well, I don't know.
That seems like a sign,
Yeah.
one that you
he
might pay
turned to the
attention
Lord.
to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, and she was a young girl who had been orphaned. Her mom and dad had died, and he had adopted her. And she was also known as Esther, so hence the name of the book, right?
I
And
love
it's
how, like, in a sea of names that make no sense to us, there's one that just stands out, that just stands the test of time. Esther. We have Xerxes, Nebuchadnezzar, a bunch of other names that I can't remember, and then it's just like, and Esther.
Mordecai's
I feel
a
like
sweet name.
Yeah,
I feel like
Mordecai
it's
is
interesting
cool.
that a lot of them have like double names too. Because like
Yeah.
Hadassah and Esther, but then remember the chick in the New Testament called Dorcas, but also called Tabitha.
Yeah.
Only one of those made it.
Yeah.
I used to want to be named Tabitha, so I could be called Tabby because cats. So,
It always goes back to cats.
yeah, that I had to do what I had to do. Anyway,
it's just funny, like, which names make it. Like, I don't. Obviously, that was those names all made sense at that time and that place, but there's some that were like, we'll keep this, and others are gone. And Esther is still a name after all these years. It's cool.
Yeah, but no one's called Hadassah or Dorcas.
No.
Maybe somebody is, but I've never met them.
My if we have a kid, I'm naming him boy or girl. They're gonna be Scipio Africanus Gresseth.
Oh, great!
It's happening.
So let it be written. So
what about Pompey?
Pompey can be number 2 if we crap out another one.
Well, yeah. All right. Well.
So it says that Esther had a lovely figure and was beautiful
as a child.
Mordecai was like, dang, this is your shot. You could win Persia's next top concubine. Like, you got the stuff, the it factor. You're the hottest tween in the land, and the king is definitely going to recognize it. So he takes her to the harem and hands her over to the eunuch. I just kept thinking of that Reba song. He's like, here's your one chance, Esther, don't let me down.
Oh my gosh.
You know that one? Did they play that in Massachusetts?
I didn't.
It was fancy.
I didn't know this until Casey educated me about it. I had no idea this existed.
Here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. It was about a girl whose mom, in order to help her get out of their poverty and whatnot, bought her a fancy dress and turned her loose as a prostitute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wholesome.
Not actually familiar with that song. I don't
know. To the top.
I don't know a lot about Reba.
Casey has educated,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Casey's given lots of education on 90s country because I have zero exposure to it.
I like 90s country. It gets to about the year like 2002, and I'm pretty done with country at that point. But anything but prior to that, I'm all for.
I just don't see much of a difference.
Out of the blue, I like to scream it in April's face.
Yeah, that's really. I can see that being the biggest appeal of it for you.
I like it to be like a nighttime driving situation where the car is like completely quiet and she's obviously lost in thought. And then I just like look over at her and I'm like a rhinestone cowboy.
Oh my gosh. And I'm just like, what?
It all sounds insane to me. I don't need to go off on country music right now. There isn't any of it that I go, that's fine. It's none of it. And now it's like, did you just I feel like they're just ripping hip hop beats and just throwing a twang over it. It's like, what
Well,
is happening?
okay, so I used to really like Carrie Underwood, and I was like, I wonder what Carrie Underwood's up to these days. And so I looked, it was like a couple months ago, and I looked and to see like what her songs were right now, and the top, like the most recent song was called Stretchy Pants or something. And it was all about how
kill
she's
Things have
me.
really
eating so
changed for
much
her.
food at Thanksgiving, and she has her stretchy pants on so she can eat as much food as she wants, and then she's rolling around on the floor because she's eating so much food at Thanksgiving.
That's
And I'm just
weird.
like, oh no.
I think that the stretchy pants joke is white people's favorite Thanksgiving
It's
joke.
it's like Gen X and above, maybe. Like I
Like,
don't
I
know, boomer. I
gotta
don't
put
know.
on the stretchy pants now. That or they mention they gotta take a nap. Like,
Yeah. But like writing a whole song about it, it was just,
that's
and
weird.
it wasn't very well written. It wasn't very like,
How would you
I
write
don't
that
know.
well? It's a bad premise to
It's
begin with.
I
Jeez.
know. I was upset about it.
She
I'm like,
released an
man, this is where
album
you're
this
going.
year called Denim and Rhinestones.
Oh
Oh
my god. That's
no.
the second rhinestone reference in the past 15 seconds.
No, that's oh my gosh.
What are rhinestones?
They're just
They're like
plastic
fake
Is this
jewels.
plastic
like
diamonds.
bejeweled? Is that like bejeweling your jeans?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Wow.
bedazzled jeans. They're plastic diamonds.
God, when is that coming back? I'm bell bottoms are
It's
back.
coming. It's
Um,
coming. 2000s fashion has been back for a little bit, and I know that 2010s is next. I
yeah.
bet. I
God.
guarantee it.
All right.
Not
She
looking
did
forward to it.
a gospel album in 2021.
Oh
It's got the lead off track is Jesus Loves Me instrumental.
Stop it.
no, girl, why?
I don't know.
Do you guys
We
remember
voted for
any
you
of the
on
other?
American Idol. Like we sent in one of our limited text messages on our Sprint plan
Yeah,
to help
come
you
on.
get to this point. This is what you're doing with it.
Yeah, you're wasting your voice. Stop it. Stop it.
So
Anyway.
Esther gets turned over to the harem to the care of Haggai, the sassiest eunuch, and he just loves her, thinks she's great. He immediately provided her with beauty treatments and special food, which, what is that, I wonder?
I don't
I
know.
wonder at the
Figs
time if they were trying to like thicken them up or like restrict their diet,
to
you
get,
know?
yeah, like you get like 2 almonds. That's it. Or you get like a full spread. It's got to be one or the other.
Yeah, it put you on that James Charles diet.
Oh my gosh.
So he assigned to her 7 female attendants selected from the king's palace and moved her and her attendants into the best place in the harem. So clearly, Haggai's kind of like putting his finger on the scale here, it sounds like.
Yeah. It's like, all right, this is it. This is it.
So for some reason, I don't understand the significance of this just yet, and I think it comes into play like further into the story. But it says that she did not reveal her nationality or family background because Mordecai forbade it.
Yeah, she
I
didn't tell
remember
him.
that part of the story.
She didn't tell that she was Jewish because they were Persian, or the king was Persian.
It says every day he walked back and forth near the courtyard of the harem to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. I feel like he's a
What
total like Britney Spears' dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a helicopter cousin.
He put her into a conservatorship super fast.
Total Hollywood mom vibe, you know, just like so basically like what they would do, this is weird. Okay, so it says before a young woman's turn came to go into King Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatments prescribed for the women.
12 months.
12 months.
Botox injections.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
they were letting them ripen
look
to
like a
the age of
balloon.
like the ripe old age of like 14.
Yeah.
Oh my
Let
god.
them pickle a little bit. And then 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 with perfumes and cosmetics. I'm guessing Xerxes had a sensitive nose.
I guess.
I don't know.
Or else they were seeing like if whoever got pimples just got booted off immediately.
Rub
they
Rub
were
your
a
face
witch or
down with
something.
oil, and if you
Yeah.
if you get assist, you're out.
Yeah. Ah.
So yeah, she goes through many months of aromatherapy, and it says, and this is how she would go to the king. Anything she wanted was given her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. So this is basically all of the girls. They could take whatever they wanted to with them to the king's palace. I don't know what that means, but I keep thinking of like a John Wick style wall of like dildos and whips and collars.
Oh no.
You know, like just
Take your
like an
pick.
outfitter.
Yeah.
The whole like Bad Dragon Christmas catalog on the wall.
Oh no. Got any ovipositors?
If you're not sure what that is, Google that.
Google it.
Enjoy.
Thank me
Right
later.
after the pregnant Sonic pictures.
There's a lot of homework for this episode.
So in the evening, she would go there, and in the morning return to another part of the harem to the care of Shashgaz, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the concubines. So go in the evening, come back in the morning, get turned over to Shashgaz, who would, I don't know, give him a morning after pill, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
A special tea.
And she would not return to the king unless he was pleased with her and summoned her by name. So he basically like trial run. If he liked him, then he would let him come back. But I think we're talking about if this is at all based in reality, which I think by all accounts this sort of thing probably is.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it is. Yeah,
We have to be talking about a lot of young women, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Which is
Not
just
all.
It sounds pretty par for the course for this time and place in with
Yeah.
these types of rulers.
Probably not against their wait. It was probably some of it against their will.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
They were there. Yeah.
I don't
I
think
can't
Will
imagine
was
people were just
questioned
like
much.
signing up for that. Yeah, just go
Yeah,
ahead and give me collagen injections against
Oh my
just
word.
because that's what sounds great. Pig collagen. Just go
Uh,
ahead and stuff my lips full of that shit and throw me in front of a king who literally just decreed that all women have to suck their husband's dicks whenever they want or they get their fucking faces chopped off.
or like he's just got to test them all out, just like jackhammer them for 5 minutes and then be like, all right, go to the concubines.
I'm sleepy.
Oh my word.
He just lines them up in a row and just
Well, yeah,
one poke each. Just boop,
Yeah.
boop, boop, boop.
Yep.
Nah, not feeling it.
Oh God.
Ugh, worst.
At least it was the Persian king and not like his predecessor. What with the Assyrians?
Oh my
You
gosh.
probably didn't go back to the harem if he didn't like you, the Assyrian
Probably
king. He'd
not.
probably just like lop your limbs off and throw you in the
Yeah,
pile.
dude. I think
Eh.
the Assyrians were a special kind of brutal. I mean, go
Ooh.
down in history level brutal. Maybe
I don't know. Were they more brutal than the Mongols though?
I
don't know. At some point, it gets to be like a very slim rating system.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
when you get down to like most innovative form of torture, it's like, well, you guys were both pretty bad, I guess. If that's what you're fighting for, if that's the title you're fighting for, is
Oh, yeah.
most innovative torture. It's pretty rough.
Well,
But no, the Assyrians were.
Yeah.
They
The medieval
ruled
torture
through
was a
fear,
little
for certain.
was unique as well, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely says
Anyway,
something about
yeah.
your culture when like all the surviving hieroglyphics are basically like death metal album covers.
Yeah.
Right?
I think this is like a cattle decapitation EP.
Oh
Awesome.
my God. A Cannibal Corpse cover, album cover. Dude, have
Dying
you seen those?
fetus.
Yeah. Don't
That
get it.
it's unsettling still when I like look through their album covers and their album art. It's like, holy shit, what are we doing?
It's
I don't think
too
I've
much
ever
for
seen
me.
that.
I
Yeah, I've
actually
never.
wouldn't recommend Googling it if you find brutal images disturbing.
Yeah, that's not really my style. I don't think.
There's like a whole like section of bands that like that is the defining characteristic of those.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like cattle decapitation and
like
But what was the
Dying fetus.
dying fetus? Yeah, I can't
I don't
remember all the
remember
other
what
ones.
other ones, but
They're awful.
in the vein.
there is one. God, it's like it gets harder to say their names because some of them involve the C word, and people don't love
Oh
that. I did say
gosh,
I have used it on the podcast, but that was natural. I feel weird just
I'm
throwing out band
I'm
names.
okay without it.
Yeah, you talking about See You Next Tuesday?
Yeah,
Oh
They
my
were
gosh, I didn't
awful.
even realize that because I'm a first grader and
I didn't either.
whatever.
I
But I'm
didn't
just
know
like, are you
what that
kidding
meant.
me? That is so lame.
okay. I'm not gonna pretend I don't still like getting to tell people, "Hey, see you next Tuesday."
Oh my gosh.
Funny to me still. It's still
I'm gonna
funny.
write them a letter.
About to go stick angry eyebrows on our pets.
Uh,
Get
anyway,
us,
so
get us to the end, Casey. Where are we?
concubines.
So when the turn came for Esther to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Haggai said had suggested. So sassy eunuch, she asks him what butt plug would be appropriate for the king. What's the best bet? He gave it to her, and that's what she took in.
Green scaly dragon. Sorry.
I guess that demonstrates like humility and savviness. Like she's using her resources.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what would you want? And the guy's like, oh, my ego has been stroked. Yes.
Esther won the favor
Anyway.
of everyone who saw her. She was
Yeah,
taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And it says, now the king was attracted to Esther more than to any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he put a crown on her head, made her queen instead of Vashti, which I'm sure really chapped her cheeks. Maybe it didn't. Maybe she was pretty done with the guy.
She's
and
like,
that was
"Do
part
you have any idea how
that.
happy I am to get the fuck
So
out of
say,
here? This
if that
guy's
were me,
a
I'd be like,
psychopath.
fine.
This guy's an absolute psychopath."
I'm sure life for her after the palace was probably not fun either.
True.
Like we were just listening to a history thing about someone who was the queen of like what? She was like an Ottoman queen or something like that, and I can't remember what city it was, but it was like in that time of like the Vikings and stuff. And she went from like queen of the empire to she ended up in like a convent in some rural part of Italy.
Oh, I'm trying to remember who that was. I don't know. I'm stuck on the Mongolians, or the Mongols.
Yeah, it wasn't
I don't
that
remember.
one. It was like something
No,
in the
it was
history dose thing.
It was somebody in Europe, right? I don't know. I'll remember
I'm
later.
not really a history guy, so
well, here's history. So Esther becomes the queen. The king throws a big party in her name. He declares it like Esther Day, national holiday.
And then she doesn't come out and dance for him when he's drunk, and he starts the whole process over again in the morning.
He does
because
come
she's
very
a
close
teenager.
to killing her later on.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good conclusion to that story. I remember that.
So I think like there's a lot of really important biblical themes here. The biggest one, just like you got to be open to whatever door God opens for you.
Yeah, if it's being a sex slave, then that's what God has for you, I guess.
Hey, slowly at the top. That's what Steve Brule says.
Yeah. I mean, he is a doctor, so.
It's a cowboy boot shaped like a boot. It's a cowboy boot.
Yeah. Also, like, hey, good uncle, and help your kid be a child bride.
Yeah. That all the best uncles are doing it. Some uncles
definitely
show their nephews playboys too early. Some uncles sell their nieces into slavery.
Yeah,
different kinds of uncles out there.
Uncles are just to be viewed with suspicion, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an uncle.
You are an uncle.
I take back.
You are suspicious.
He's gonna buy his nephew some guns.
Yeah. he will be armed and ignorant of all these things.
Teeth. You will not lock it up. You will leave it by his bedside, and you will teach him how to use it if there's ever an intruder.
Yeah. I'm kind of a, like a throw the kid in the pool and let him figure it out sort of instructor. All right,
This is what
everybody.
doing
Thanks for
business
listening.
sounds like.
And we will talk to you next time.